Imagine stepping up to a microphone in front of hundreds of your friends, or diving into a perfectly calm lake on a warm summer afternoon, or just doing routine maintenance at a job you've worked at for years. We view these actions as totally mundane, right? Safe, predictable. But what happens when the very infrastructure of those everyday moments is hiding a microscopic, completely invisible error? An error that, with just one tiny shift, triggers a fatal domino effect.
So, what actually happens when the mundane turns deadly? Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're walking through an anthology of 3 distinct, honestly heartbreaking cases where the stars aligned in the worst possible way. We are going to see just how quickly a totally normal day can unravel when the systems we blindly trust suddenly fail us.
Let's dive into case number 1, 1971, the deadly lake train.
It's August 1971, in rural Ontario. A 23-year-old scuba expert named Michael volunteers to help find a missing swimmer. When he gets to the lake, the atmosphere is incredibly tense. The swimmer has been unaccounted for over an hour now. Family members and amateur searchers are standing on the shore, just totally paralyzed with fear. So, feeling that heavy sense of responsibility, Michael gears up and slowly wades into this glass-like water to start the rescue.
But right here is where the story takes a truly horrifying turn. You see, before Michael ever even arrived, a well-meaning park employee secretly ran over to the nearby dam's control room and opened a massive valve to drain the lake. They were just hoping to make the search easier, you know? But the tragic reality? By opening that valve, they unwittingly created a massive, fatal, entirely invisible vacuum hidden right beneath the surface.
So Michael is standing there waist-deep scanning the water. And this just perfectly illustrates how easily our instincts can betray us. Looking out at the completely flat water, he spots a simple ripple on the surface. Mistakenly thinking it might be a clue about the swimmer, he points it out to the people on the shore, pulls his mask down, and swims directly toward the danger zone. He had literally swum right into the mouth of a trap. Let's break down the exact mechanics of this fatal undercurrent. Step 1. A violent suction grabbed him instantly. It pulled him down so hard he couldn't resurface, and it literally stripped the heavy scuba equipment right off his body. Step 2. He was sucked straight into a 2-foot diameter, 30-foot-long drainage pipe where he became trapped. And Step 3. His body was eventually forced out the other end onto the shore of an adjacent river. And you know what the most heartbreaking detail of all this is? The original missing swimmer was found 4 hours later, entirely unaffected by the drain, just 150 yards away on the lakeshore.
Moving on to case number 2, 1988, the poisonous factory mistake. We're shifting gears to June 1988 at the Bastion Plating Company in Auburn, Indiana. Meet 25-year-old Jeffrey Link, a machine operator there. On this particular morning, Jeffrey is just tasked with some routine maintenance, nothing crazy. He grabs what he fully believes is his standard chemical cleaning solution, and he physically steps inside the belly of a massive metal tank to get to work.
Now here is the catastrophic error. Jeffrey accidentally grabbed the wrong cleaning solution. And that tank he was cleaning? It had recently stored zinc cyanide. The very second Jeffrey applied that incorrect cleaner, it interacted with microscopic zinc cyanide residue left in the tank. This instantly produced a highly lethal, completely invisible cloud of hydrogen cyanide gas.
What happens next is a devastating domino effect, driven entirely by human instinct and heroism. The gas hits Jeffrey, and he collapses inside the tank with a loud thud. A coworker hears this, rushes into the enclosed space to save his friend, and he instantly collapses. 2 more colleagues run in to help, and they fall as well. Within moments, the toxic gas rapidly expands and overtakes the entire factory floor.
The speed of this invisible threat was just unprecedented. To put it in perspective, 39 people had to be hospitalized that morning. This included factory workers who were stumbling around disoriented, and even the initial first responders. They rushed into the building to help, only to be immediately brought down by the fumes. The entire facility had essentially become a giant toxic trap.
Tragically, 5 people lost their lives that day. That number really underscores the fatal cost of blind, instinctual heroism. Jeffrey perished, along with the 3 coworkers who bravely rushed straight into the gas to save him, plus 1 additional employee. They just never knew the invisible monster they were running toward. And that brings us to case number 3, 2005, the electrified baptism.
It's October 30th, 2005. We're inside the cavernous University Baptist Church in Waco, Texas. 33-year-old pastor Kyle Lake is standing before a packed congregation of about 800 people. He's this beloved figure known for his youthful energy and lighthearted pranks. Right now, he's in the middle of a joyous ceremony, standing in a waist-high baptismal pool filled with warm water, totally ready to welcome a young woman into the church.
But an invisible failure is just waiting for him. Days prior, the pool's water heaters were damaged, leaving the water Pastor Lake was standing in completely electrically charged. He had absolutely no idea. At 10:30 a.m., his wireless lapel microphone fails, just a routine tech glitch. So at 10:31, to fix the hiccup and keep things moving,
He reaches out and grabs a nearby wired stand microphone. Instantaneously, disaster strikes. By holding that grounded microphone while standing in charged water, his body became a deadly electrical pathway. The instant he touched that microphone, he began to scream. But because of his reputation for always playing practical jokes, the 800 people in the audience initially just watched. They assumed it was a prank. But then his screams formed to actual words. "Help! Help me!" In that chilling moment, the confusion finally broke. But despite the frantic efforts of paramedics, Pastor Lake did not survive.
So, what do these three distinct tragic stories actually tell us? Let's take a step back and connect this to our own lives for a second. The overarching theme here is that danger isn't just reserved for extreme sports or combat zones. Sometimes, the most terrifying hazards hide in the fragile, entirely unseen infrastructure of our daily mundane lives. Think about it. A park drainage pipe, an industrial cleaning bottle, a pool heater. We rely on the absolute perfection of these systems without ever giving them a single second thought.
Which brings us to a final haunting question. Look around you right now. You are surrounded by wires, pipes, chemicals, and complex systems that you likely didn't build and definitely can't completely control. What invisible systems are you blindly trusting right now? It really reminds us of the terrifying fragility of the so-called safe spaces we occupy every single day. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Stay curious and always stay aware of your surroundings.